if you can't do economics, then let's go for the tax law, right?
Hello, everyone. My name is Ramon van Aarle. I'm here with my brother Ruben.
Hello, my name is Ruben, also van Aarle, of course.
Yeah, and we are the brothers in tax. So welcome to our first podcast where we will take you, we talk about our first years in tax, what happenings with the tax technology and our business endeavors together. This first episode we will take a sentimental route and talk about our origin story. How did we become brothers in tax, Ruben? Could you start by introducing yourself a little bit further?
Of course. So again, Ruben, obviously, that's a long time ago, Ramon, as you know. Actually, how did we get into tax? Well, we always wanted to do something economically right, but both of us are not very good at mathematics.
Nope.
So studying economy, that was not our piece of cake because of all the mathematics. So the second best was kind of tax law. And one of our friends, you know him.
Niels.
Niels.
Yeah.
Currently the head of tax of Philips. But at that time, a friend of us playing tennis, but also working with us in the same pub, obviously.
Right.
He was studying tax law, and he was quite enthusiastic about it. So if you can't do economics, then let's go for the tax law, right? Because we just had already someone doing exactly the same.
Right. So you just copied a good friend working in the bar, and you thought that could be a nice career in tax after a couple of years studying.
That's it. So now let's try for the best, and that all went fine, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
then we started to study.
Yeah. For me, exactly the same. So you copied Niels, I copied you because you were more or less you were excited by the study, right? So
Right.
I joined also. Can you tell something about your first years after the study? Where did you start working?
Well, started in '98 at Arthur Andersen. That was an internship, and I actually did not really like it. It was really long days just behind the desk. Was not allowed to pick up the phone, not allowed to call any clients, and I had
Wearing a suit.
wearing a suit, tie. Back in the old days. But there were obviously no client meetings for me, so I had no idea why I had to wear a suit. But those were the days. And then after 3 weeks, they asked me whether I could visit the main partner there. I was kind of afraid, of course, because I thought, okay, he's going to kick me out. I did not really like it. I was there, of course, every day, working hard, did my best, but did not like it. And then, surprisingly, he offered me a job. So I had no other job. So what could possibly go wrong? So I said, okay, yes, then
Let's do it.
let's do it. I'll sign the contract. So we went to the restaurant, famous restaurant in Eindhoven, and that was my first business lunch actually.
Right.
And I had a contract with Andersen.
Wow. Congratulations.
And then it started a couple of months later. 6 months later, I had to finish my teaser, and started officially in March 99.
March 99. Wow. Amazing. Yeah.
And yourself?
Yeah. Well, I can recall the nice Friday afternoon drinks you had at Arthur Andersen, and you invited me to come there, so I met basically the entire team. But still, I decided to went for an internship at Ernst & Young, currently EY, because I figured, brothers working at the same employer. I didn't want to mess with your career, right? So I thought, let's go to the other large firm. So there was EY. Didn't really like it there, right? So we had the conversations on Sunday, and EY is a great place to work, right? But the team was not the best fit in Den Bosch back in the days.
We had a very good team.
And you had a very nice team. So
very
we still had. So I had an internship at EY. I had the drinks with Arthur Andersen back then, and then I think Bart Thomas he said to me, just apply for a job here, man. What can go wrong? So in the end, I did, and they hired me as well a couple of years later.
Right.
But they were afraid that we started our own business, right? Can you tell something about that?
Yeah, I can tell something about that. So they had, let's say, some negative experiences with brothers or family within the same firm, Anderson at that time. And they were a little bit afraid that they would step away and then all work together. So it was not really independently. In the end, we went anyway. But perhaps also for the audience, we should go a little bit back to the pub because we started in tax actually earlier, right? Because we studied tax both together.
Yes.
And a lot of our friends, they started back in the days, internet companies and internet marketing companies.
Yeah.
And they were also working in the same pub as us. So obviously, who became the tax advisor? We did, right?
Yeah, you. Because I think they asked you whether we could help them out on some tax technicalities, and they went fast. Those internet businesses in the early 2000s. And then I remember that while I was studying, I was basically doing the research, and then on Sundays we made the advice to our friends, basically, right? So in the end, you had a big job at Arthur Andersen and also had a side job on Sundays together, right?
Right. We had a flourishing evening practice, as they say it.
Yeah, so and it was allowed. For the people, for the followers. So
our wives were less happy because we were always working, but it was happened a lot.
Yeah. So it runs in the family being a tax advisor because we have a brother.
Exactly.
Also a tax lawyer.
Also a tax lawyer.
Yeah.
He actually also, I think he started at EY or Deloitte. I'm not 100%. He started
I thought.
At EY, in Rotterdam.
EY Rotterdam. And then he shifted to Deloitte and back, or... That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah. But he's still in tax also,
he's
right?
Still tax.
Yeah.
He actually also joined Taxperience, right? For 6-7 years.
Yeah, we worked I think longer, but it doesn't really matter. 7-8 years we worked together, and still a tax partner at a very large firm. So but that's strange, right? So so it's a small industry in the Netherlands, maybe worldwide. So people say, "Hey, 3 brothers
in tax,
all study tax." Yeah. Well, what do you think if you look back on our childhood, and how did that happen?
I have no idea. Actually, it's
probably mathematics.
Yeah. Guido was also not very strong in mathematics,
no.
So he followed kind of our path, and we were, of course, very enthusiastic about the teams we were in, and we were a little bit older, and then at also the client meetings, we started to enjoy it. We had the ski trips with the company, the Friday evening drink, so it was very nice. And I think he also visited some of the Friday afternoon drinks, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so. It's a small world, right? So that's where it started, right? The brothers in tax. So that's nice. Can you talk a little bit about the first years being in tax? Because the internships, they are a little bit hard, right? So you are learning, but you don't really know how to use your knowledge from university at the clients. Can you tell something about that?
I think there is a big disconnection between actually what you learn at university and then real life practice. So, and then the other thing is that everything within Anderson was in English. And
yes, that's true.
So also the advices, the memos, everything we had to write in English, and we did not really have the skills after university to write that. So it was,
fully agree. Difficult,
kind of frustrating.
How long did it take you to that it really resonate on your day-to-day work?
I think 1.5 years, and then the managers and partners got trust in me as a tax advisor. So I was allowed to go more and more, basically. Join the meetings, but also have calls. And then actually I created my own meetings. So I was actually not too much in the office, always out with clients. And
right.
That I really liked. I always liked the interaction between the people and the business. It's very interesting also to go to a factory, see actually how things are being made, right?
Real companies.
Always
and
nice. Then, tax was just kind of the subject to meet people and to go out, right? So
fully agree.
We brought knowledge to them, and that was nice.
Yeah.
But it took a couple of years really to to get, let's say, noted by the colleagues, but also, let's say, by the clients, and just start to call, and 2-3 years later, totally different ball game.
Yeah.
And a lot of freedom and a lot of
I fully agree. But now you understand that they keep you at the office for the
Of course.
first year, right? We did basically the same at Experience, right? Because
You need experience.
if you have a meeting with 8 people and you're working for 6 months, that's a hell of a job if they ask questions, right? Because the client thinks you know everything, right?
Right, that's it. So only later, let's say during the career, you start to understand why it takes a while before they send you out to clients, right?
There you go.
You need experience, you need more knowledge.
I already said Texperience.
Right.
That was a nice ride.
That was very nice.
Can you elaborate on the founding of that company? How did we do that? What did we do and decided? Let's say the 6 months before, right?
Yeah.
Because back then it was new, starting your own tax firm.
Absolutely. I think we already managed. We had a kind of a flourishing evening practice, right? So we had anyway to make a decision, or those clients had to come to Anderson / the Deloitte at that time, against totally different hourly rates, right? Or we should say to our friends, sorry, we can't advise you anymore because it was getting a little bit too much anyway, both jobs. But I think both of us were a little bit too restless as well, right? It was not fast enough anymore.
At Big Four.
At the Big Four. Decision making took forever. And it was running in the same wheel all the time. And I think we needed a little bit change. And then I think somewhere during the summer of 2005, we pushed the button and said, okay, let's start our own firm, make the real decision in September 2005, and actually started in January 2006.
Yeah. Who came up with the name?
That was Sam,
our third partner, right?
Our third partner.
Founding partner, Sam.
Yeah. He had...
we have to give the credits to Sam, right? He invented the name. I think it's still one of the best names ever for a company, right?
And I think also those days there were no international tax boutiques, right? You had Loyens Loef actually, and we always said we're going to build a small Loyens Loef. I think in the end we managed to get there. Was not that easy.
No,
nothing is easy. We know that over the years, right?
But I know the story. But tell the audience, you didn't have a full book of business when you started. So take us through the first years. What did we do? Yeah, we had to pay the bills, right? We hired colleagues. I think in month 4.
Yeah.
After we started. So
that was kind of a bumpy ride because we always worked for corporate and international companies. The partners of Deloitte said, how do you get clients? Because those multinationals will not join you.
No, that's what I thought.
That's what they thought. That was also what we thought, right? So we had to build a business again. Of course, we had some friends, clients from day one who said, okay, we're going to join you. But we had another CFO / friend, Erik Oldes. He gave us the opportunity for me to reorganize a tax department at ACN in Amsterdam as in-house tax director. And basically what also happened was that a lot of our clients from Anderson / Deloitte, they did not get a telephone call from the new Deloitte people.
No.
They started to call us, right? So after 6 months, basically 6 to 9 months, I think, most of the clients for who we were working at Anderson / Deloitte were our clients at Experience again.
Yeah, luckily for us. Yes.
Where it was good we were brothers in tax because I was still, let's say, working at ACN also 40 hours. Yeah. And you were doing a lot of meetings and...
we can tell that story now, right? So Ruben was in Amsterdam working internally, and I was working multiple mailboxes. So I was making the memos on behalf of Ruben, sending them out. receiving emails. Thank you very much, Ruben, for your quick reply. So that was basically the first years.
Absolutely.
We had a blast back
Yeah.
then. If you look back, right?
Yeah, it was really nice.
But if you look further for the rest of your career, what struck you most once working internally on tax? Because it's different than being an advisor, right? What did you learn? What's your
Totally different. So we just started our own company. I was 30, and then I was asked, let's say, to reorganize the tax department, which I obviously also had never done.
no?
But okay, let's go for it. Let's make it the best. But I was really amazed how much manual work there was, and how many ping pong over the email and lost files and churn of people and.
Yeah, there were the big corporates, right? Lots of people working there internationally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So one of the big four, they charged that company almost $1 million a year. And basically my task was to bring that down, obviously. And I think that that went down to a third. But then you also see, let's say, how tax work, right? So if you just ask a broad question to a tax advisor, they come back with a broad memo, actually saying nothing. If this, then that, and then if that, then this.
Please note.
Please note, and however, and there's no certainty. So I got these kind of memos, 20, 30 pages, and actually I couldn't do anything with it. Where, let's say, the joke we always made at Anderson, you pay €1,000 a page. So that was basically 20, 30,000 euro wasted on a memo, and I couldn't do too much with it. So I really also learned the hard way, basically how to deal differently with taxes. So there is the law, and then there are business rules, and then you need to make basically a decision for a company where it's going. And 20 years ago, that was again totally different than today, right? So
of course,
tax advice 20 years ago is different than tax advice today. Yeah, it really shifted to compliance, governance, in control. Where back in the days, we had great double dip, triple
dip, not paying tax,
not
right?
paying tax.
You got promoted if you manage for your clients to have a lower tax percentage, right?
We were very proud of it, and one of the advisors today to Keynes, as you know, Hans van der Heuk, he always mentioned it's where it's going. It's not paying as little as possible tax, but it's preventing double taxation. And I think that's actually where we are today. If you look on some of the Latin American countries where they charge royalties for everything, or withholding taxes on royalties, obviously.
Yeah.
So totally different ball game.
Okay. So that's interesting. So your career is, let's say, 25 years now in tax. Where do you think the next 25 years will take us?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Of course, you never know. So one thing we learned as entrepreneurs is that making plans is and you need this step on the horizon. But we know it's shifting all the time. So I think if I just look 3 to 5 years, I think that's already long. Digitalization is moving at a really high pace. AI is definitely changing a lot in tax, right? So it's incredible what you can always ask to the large language models and how good they are actually already. So I would not rely on it, but
we're getting better and better every day.
It's ridiculous how good it is. So that's definitely changing. Getting control of your data, the information. So we see a shift really from, basically scattered facts and emails all over the place to, getting control of your data, your knowledge, what is bought by the company already from the advisors, right? And stop reinventing the wheel. That is.
Do you think it's a traditional market, the tax practice worldwide? Are they?
I think
agile enough, or when did the shift towards the technology part really started, in your opinion?
I think tax is not really agile, right? So it's I think most people working in tax are kind of control freaks. That everything needs to be perfect because the law prescribes that it has to be perfect. There are actually no errors are actually not allowed, right?
No.
So that also says something about the people working in it and the behavior of the people, and perhaps also the adaptation to new technologies and the willingness to change. So if you see, let's say, when I started my career, we had some facsimiles, and later on it was email, but only internally.
Later on email. Eh? We didn't
email.
have email back then. Eh?
No.
Nope.
Just sent letters and faxes. Then it was email only internally. Later on, it was, of course, also the communication with the client. There was a lot of discussion whether it was safe and etc. Actually, that is still a valid debate,
point.
right?
Yeah.
Still a valid point. But yeah. And then, of course, the research was totally different back in the days. We went to the library, sit there for hours.
Yeah.
Finding the right pieces of jurisprudence or law or literature, books,
right.
Going through it, and basically based on that making a memo.
Making a memo,
which today, let's say, is with a few words you get the same data in a split second. So that definitely changed. So the research part. Then I think also the compliance part. It started with the indirect taxes. Also more and more software came available in the market. But corporate income tax, of course, still, I don't think it's possible.
No.
It's still,
difficult.
With the current state, very difficult. Also because they change the law all the time. Transfer pricing, there is some, of course, technology in place. But it's shifting, but
doesn't go really fast.
Not really fast.
No. Let's go back to the brothers in tax. So what's interesting, we're brothers, we're in tax, and when people ask me about you, they say, he's not the typical tax advisor. We're not tax advisor anymore, but why do you think people say that? Because that's interesting, right?
Well, probably because of what I just said. So entrepreneurship and tax actually doesn't go really hand in hand. So probably we were, I think, very good at tax, but too entrepreneurial. That's also why we started our own company.
We had to do it, right?
We had to do it.
We had to do it.
So that's perhaps that's one thing. Why we are not typical tax lawyers? It's a good question.
Did you make many memos at the last 10 years of your career, or what was the
actually
approach?
Zero?
Yeah.
So
it was more the implementation, I think, right? That maybe that made the difference also.
Well, but I read obviously the memos prepared by our colleagues, right? But and so my knowledge actually also came from those memos in the end. And of course, reading a little bit myself, but preparing, no, not for the last 10 years. Actually, we had to bring in business, right? And we had to steer the company. We brought experience to different kind of countries. So we did more the entrepreneurial part of running a tax firm, right?
Yes, that's true. That's true.
So that's perhaps why people think we're atypical.
Yeah, atypical. Well, maybe final question. Do you have something to add on the origin story of the Brothers in Tax and your being part of it for decades already?
I think, just to summarize, it all started in the pub. We got there our first clients, get to know a lot of people, went to the Big Four.
Learned a lot.
Went back basically to the pub, get there more clients. Ended up with a larger firm and sold it last year.
Yeah, sold it last year. Right? That was a good one.
That was the experience.
That was the experience. That was a hell of a ride. Today we are at Keynes, but we'll tell you later. Well, Ruben, this is the end of the episode. Thank you very much for your wisdom. I want to thank all our listeners, obviously. My name is Ramon van Aarle, and I was the host of this show. And next time, Ruben will be hosting, so very much looking forward to it.
Thank you very much, Ramon, for hosting this one. And thank you all for listening to this podcast.